Hello again, my dear ones. It's me again, yours Christianity spoiler lady. I hope very much that you have until now watched all of my former videos, because they build up one on another. I deliver more and more evidence about how false and even really bad most of these feasts and practices in so-called Christianity is and are. And you celebrate this as a so-called Christian. By the way, I say it again and again and again. Jesus was never a Christian, and his name never was Jesus. So what are you when you call yourself a Christian and that you believe in a so-called Jesus? Huh? You most certainly are not a follower of the true one, especially when you're not even interested in the truth, in what he really is and what he really meant, and how all of this was built by God, inclusively his feasts. You can read my books. Also, the one about forgiveness, I explain very clearly that the entire forgiveness teaching is totally wrong in so-called Christianity. What wonder. Anyway, it's in the box below, in the text box. After I spoiled now all of the other feasts except Pentecost, this is still to come, of so-called Christianity, this is now the spoiler, part 1, of the Most High Feast in so-called Christianity. So-called Easter in English. In German it's called Ostern. Ostern. So we see it's a similar linguistic root. Easter, Ostern. First spoiler, dong! The word of Ostern or Easter or similar ones cannot, I repeat, cannot be found anywhere in the entire Bible. Surprise! So why do crooked churches, so-called Christians, and again you, call it so? This word, Ostern, Easter, goes back on pagan habits and gods as well. Science is not totally sure about the origins of the word, but it could very easily be related to the goddess I mentioned above in the title. You can read it. I won't say it because the Torah, God in the Torah, forbids us to invoke foreign gods, pagan gods, by calling out their name. So I won't do that. This goddess also was a concurrence god, an enemy god in Palestine and Canaan, in the Middle East at the time. Also Jehovah, El Shaddai, was adored there by the Israelites. She, the pagan goddess, obviously was the goddess of fertility. Ding! Therefore you have eggs and rabbits on Easter. Rabbits are animals that are very well known for doing it anytime and with any animal they can get. Also animals of other species like cats. Ugh! Ah! Okay. Happy Easter. Dong. So what big surprise? Nowhere in the Bible you find eggs or rabbits related to this feast. So why do you have them? I say nothing against eating a cooked egg or a squirreled egg on Easter, but don't make them one of your kind of signature proofs for Easter. This is kind of a ceremony and not good. Also, the word Easter, Ostern, could have been derived from an old German god. Again, the bad German pagans, like in my other videos, they were shame, whose names sounded alike. It can also have a link to the old word for sunrise, which is also pagan because, pagans adore sun gods and the sun itself. But most probably it is the link to those old fertility gods and their spring fertility feasts, which found entry by pagan mission. Other Roman countries have a better word for this feast. The French call it Pâques, the Italian Pasqua, and the Spanish and Portuguese also. This word is far better because those people have derived it from the true name of the Hebrew feast in the Torah, and that also Yeshua celebrated and that God Father wants to have celebrated explicitly, like he writes in the Torah in detail from Exodus chapter 20 on. Because the true name of this feast in the book of Mose is Pesach. This is the true name, Pesach. Pesach means God goes by, gone by. Means his wrath leaves you out. No death. If there is blood on our doors, the blood of the Lamb. And God wanted that the Israelites always remembered that their firstborn were not killed in Egypt in the night before the Hebrews were allowed by the Pharaoh to leave the country with all their possessions, by the mighty hand of God after all those plagues, which were judgments on the Pharaoh and the false pagan gods of Egypt. So God ordered that they, the Israelites, each year celebrated this feast at the same time, at full moon of the first month. Formerly called Abib, month of Abib, today called month of Nisan. See my other videos, there I explain God's times a little more, especially the ones about the new year, because this also is false like we do it. Wrong. God went by at Pesach, and his angel did not kill anyone in the houses of those people who had the blood of the slaughtered lamb at their door, also if those ones were Egyptians or foreigners. Important was to have the blood on the door. This was the condition, the deal. On this feast now something similar new happens. On Pesach, with Yeshua, something new happens. As if God lays on this former feast of Pesach a second layer. And the layer is the following. Yeshua, his son, the Lamb of God, like John the Baptist called him, and which he is, will be slaughtered as an overall, ultimate sacrifice for the sins of the world. Not only of the sins of the Israelites, but also of the sins of the world. If you have the blood on your door, and the door is an image, a picture for your life. And everybody who takes his blood on his own life and follows him and his Torah law is spared by the wrath of God. They are bought out from sinful Egypt, as well figuratively, as well today. Egypt is a synonym for the world, for all its paganity and pharma, believism, and so on. But this doesn't necessarily mean that they are all forgiven, To be left out doesn't mean that you are forgiven. See my book also on forgiveness and justice, The Right Cheek Hits Back, which is the link in the text box here underneath the video. Very well explains also that those forgiveness teachings of the church is wrong. And remember, also in the desert after the Exodus, many Israelites had to die because they sinned against God and Moses. This was not and never will be a free pass for sinning like many Christian churches and bad preachers think and preach today. There is no once saved, always saved. You can also see that in the New Testament, like Ananias and Sapphira had to die because of their betrayal. And this is only a small betrayal, Read it. Bang, death, Okay. Don't be misled that you have been bought out by Yeshua, if you really believe in him, is not a free pass for sin. You have to follow the law, and this is in the Torah. Don't believe Paul. He's a betrayer. He says himself that he lies and that he has a gospel of his own, which is not the one Yeshua proclaimed. Okay, so the summary of this Easter part is, again, I repeat again, you in your crooked church celebrate something neither the Father nor the Son wanted, wrote, ordered, or even initiated. But again, you follow legends, pagan gods, and celebrate days and people made up by the big pagan church of Rome, sitting on her hills with red and scarlet dresses, which are mentioned in the Apocalypse of John, and I guess they're called the whore there. Okay. Again, why don't you instead consult the Torah on only hold the feasts and days of the highest and only true God and his Son? And it's basically only 3 feasts summed up. 3 feasts that he calls his feasts forever. As long as the earth stands, these are his feasts. Don't be deceived. Turn away from your crooked Roman feasts established by Roman false popes and false gods called Caesars, emperors. Go check. If you are a true believer, turn away from your pagan feasts, from your pagan ways, and follow his ways. Find his way and follow it instead, and his feasts. God says those feasts are his feasts forever, for eternal, as long as the earth is standing. So why do you follow wrong feasts for wrong gods? Explain this to him. You can't. You're deceived and you're a deceiver. So until my next video on Easter, part 2, I think I will have the time Saturday evening after Shabbat, which I hold, certainly, because it's a law in the 10 Commandments. It's not Sunday. I will also make a video on that, but it's a lot of time, So in the second part, I will explain how Yeshua really died and how the Jewish feasts called Pesach is done and what the process is. And here it's really interesting. So I wish you knowledge and truth, and go check the text below in the info box and read my books. It will spare you a lot of time because he comes back soon, and I took years and years and years, even did work in the original text in Hebrew and in Greek. So you have to hurry up, So till the next part, I wish you now, well, today is Wednesday, the 5th of April, and today, some 1,000 years ago, he was crucified. At the time now, he already hang on the cross, and therefore I will hold from this evening on. It's to Pesach, 14th of Nisan, Aviv. His Pesach, And maybe you celebrate with me the true feast. Goodbye.